And now, unique footage. The armed forces of Ukraine are attacking in Bryansk. Ukrainian aviation struck FSB positions. In the Bryansk region, believe me, the enemy had to... Oh, it's not easy. And also exclusive video of the destruction of enemy tanks, the expensive self-propelled artillery system Malva, armored vehicles, and of course, enemy infantry on the Kupiansk front. Moreover, it was very hot this week, even in the territory of terrorist Russia. This week, an oil refinery in Ufa, which is in Bashkortostan, was burning and blazing, supplying raw materials for explosives manufacturers. The Russian Ministry of Defense is foaming at the mouth to prove that there were no landings. Well, let's say there wasn't, but where did such a hellish fire come from then? Watch our story, there will be exclusive details.
The aviation of the armed forces of Ukraine obliterated the FSB positions in the settlement of Belaya Beryoska in the Bryansk region. As a result of the precise strike, important enemy military infrastructure was destroyed, which was used for coordinating combat operations. This significantly reduced the enemy's capabilities in terms of forces and resources in the region. Ukrainian defense forces also destroyed a storage facility for thermobaric munitions belonging to the Russian invaders in the temporarily occupied territory of the Donetsk region near Selidovo. The occupiers also said goodbye to the latest self-propelled artillery system. The armed forces of Ukraine destroyed the latest self-propelled artillery system 2S-43 Malva, as stated by the Russian Ministry of Defense. The first serial samples of the Malva were delivered to the Russian armed forces in October 2023, and they were first recorded on the front in early June 2024. Also, on the Kupiansk front, FPV drone operators delivered a devastating blow to enemy targets, destroying Russian armored vehicles, tanks, communication equipment, and the occupiers themselves. But it's not just the occupiers on the front lines who are under attack. On the night of March 3rd, strike drones attacked the Ufa oil refinery in Russia, which is located more than 1,500 kilometers from the border with Ukraine. And as in this here, witnesses claim that even in the remote areas of Ufa, the windows in the houses were shaking and the fire spread very quickly across the territory of the oil refinery. And now, for the folder, there can't be oil. The capacity of this oil refining complex, which consists of several facilities, is about 20 million tons of oil per year.
The strike was carried out on the L-24 7-7 installation at the oil refinery. Additionally, according to operational data, there was a direct hit on the storage facilities for petroleum products, which led to a large-scale fire and the destruction of part of the technological infrastructure of the enterprise. We're talking about the drones of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine that were taken out of action, 2 vertical steel tanks, RVSP 3000, and a main pipeline for raw material supply.
But for some reason, the Russian Ministry of Murder decided not to mention the explosions at the oil refinery in Ufa, and the Ministry of Emergency Situations stated that the preliminary cause of the fire was allegedly technological processes.
Official authorities are preventing the emergence of information about the nature of the damage to equipment at the Ufa oil refinery because the emergence of this information would indicate the absence of Russian air defense. B, the inability of the Russian Central Authority to effectively counter the strikes of Ukrainian drones. And accordingly, it calls into question the subjectivity of the Russian Federation in the negotiation process.
Meanwhile, the situation at the front remains tense. According to Deep State, in the Kursk region of Russia, the occupiers have focused their efforts on fire control and logistics routes for the armed forces of Ukraine. Deep State also reported on the advance of Russian troops in the Kharkiv region and the Donetsk region.
In addition to the tactical successes of the Russian troops, there are also tactical successes of the Ukrainian defense forces in the Donetsk and Kharkiv directions. In the Donetsk direction, the Ukrainian defense forces are making further advances and achieving tactical successes in the Toretsk direction. We're talking about the threat of encirclement of the Russian units concentrated in Toretsk itself. Regarding the advance of the occupiers in the Kharkiv region, yes, there are certain tactical successes that indicate an expansion of the area of presence on the so-called bridgehead. The main task of the occupiers is to create a threat of direct access to the strategic logistics hub of the Ukrainian Defense Forces, which is Kupinsk-Uzlovoy.
And for better protection, the United Kingdom will strengthen Ukraine's air defense with interceptor missiles. We're talking about LMM missiles as well as the Rapid Ranger launchers.
This terrible war has shattered the lives of thousands of peaceful Ukrainians who suffer daily from enemy rockets and drones. About how peaceful people survive in the Donbass, which has been tormented by the Russians. About how they live on the edge of death every day. The next much-chilling material is from Alexander Zagorodny.
It's hard for the military, but it's not easy for the civilians either, who live right on the front line. We're heading to the village of Perebudovo, which is basically on the border of the Donetsk and Dnipropetrovsk regions. After the retreat from Velika Novosilka, this village ended up just a few kilometers from the front. At the entrance, there's a partially destroyed bridge. It seems fine, let's go. Walking through the empty streets between the ruined houses is eerie. It seems they left, just abandoned their homes and the belongings they acquired over a lifetime. Is anyone alive? We're moving to the neighboring large village of Komar. This is how another Ukrainian village dies. This is how another Ukrainian village dies. This is Komar. Fantastic places, rivers, a pond, a beautiful church, but the front line is just 10 kilometers away from here. Almost everyone who could leave has left. There are people with disabilities, pensioners, and elderly individuals left behind. Those who are left are the ones with no one to go to, nowhere to go. The stores in the village are no longer operating, there's no electricity, the post office is closed, but bread is still being delivered. It's distributed by Elena Pastushenko, a refugee who was allowed to stay in an empty house.
It's nice, at least it's good.
Pensioner Alexander is picking up a whole bag of bread from the UN to feed his entire street.
Oh, we can come to you, come on. Let's meet at 3 Sol.
They are shelling 3 in a row. You say it's quieter today.
Quieter today.
How many people did you get the bread for?
For 4.
Once a week water is brought to Komar, the local water supply isn't working. The wells have been flooded and the water in them is sometimes hard and salty. Even under such conditions, with the absence of all the comforts of civilization, people try to joke.
I'm here, thank God, already. Thank God I've already lived for 70 years, and when I was little I got used to the water. Now I'll drink that water and it just stands here, not going anywhere. Here it stands and doesn't go anywhere. Well, what can I say to you?
But I must say, you look very good for 70 years old.
Well, I have a good wife, she kept me going.
I see that the shelling is serious, but you don't lose your sense of humor.
What can you do? You only have to die once. No one has died twice yet.
The pensioner, Vera, smiles at us, even though she's no longer sure that after the horrifying shelling, all of this can be called a full life.
Neither alive nor dead. This...
Why?
What kind of shelling?
Are they shooting heavily?
Well, you see, even going out to feed the livestock is scary. The youth have left, now I have to feed the cats, dogs and chickens. You walk in bursts.
Before the war, there were 1,700 people living in Komar. Now, at least 100 have gathered. Once there was a powerful enterprise here, a farm with 14,000 pigs and 8,000 chickens. Now pensioner Vera is going to feed the livestock that's left with the neighbors who have left. These are the cats, dogs, and a few chickens. The woman isn't sure that she won't get hit on the way. Another Russian shell, but she can't go out. Somewhere there in the cold neighbor's house, hungry cats and dogs are sitting. What strange things are happening in this world? The Russian Orthodox Church was the first to declare the concept of the Russian world. And now Russians, first of all, what are they doing in Ukraine? They are destroying churches. They believe that Ukrainian soldiers are hiding right here. Here in the village of Komar, there's little hope for Donald Trump, but at least because there's been no electricity for a long time, and news is hard to come by. Here, in the old-fashioned way, they believe in the armed forces and hope that God will save Ukraine and their beautiful village of Komar.